The Alien Earth Season 1 finale was anticlimactic, to say the least. It brought no closure to anything. It was just one giant tease for the second season, kind of arrogant and pretentious. But I'm not here to give a review. I'm a Gloomy Geek, and in this video we're going to compile the top 10 theories or mysteries left over from Season 1 that hopefully will be explored in the second season of Alien Earth. I want to invite you to participate in a new exclusive giveaway of one of the first official Alien Earth merch, the iconic Goat Funko Pop. For your chance to win this adorable nightmare, all you have to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments who your favorite alien character is and why. The winner will be announced on October 9th. Number 10. Are the Xenomorphs victims? To understand why the Xenomorphs are victims, we must first understand exactly what they are. There are multiple ways to define these creatures. From a biological standpoint, they are alien organisms that function as parasites, capable of attaching themselves to any organic life form for reproduction. They are extremely dangerous, not only because of their destructive capabilities, but also because of their method of reproducing. The first episode of Alien Earth showed a new perspective that fans of the franchise never thought about before. Marcy Hermit was subjected to a psychological test by Kirsch, who asked her several questions about a scorpion. This scene is key, and once you deconstruct it, you'll begin to understand why the Xenomorphs aren't the villains.
What is it?
It's a scorpion.
Although it seemed to be the sign of curiosity on Marcy's part, as we learned later, it was an experiment to measure her behavior. Marcy asks what the trapped animal is, to which Kersh categorized the creature and explains where it came from.
Where did it come from?
It was in the mess.
In case this is going over your head, the scorpion is a metaphor for the xenomorph. The questions of what the Xenomorphs are and where they came from are some of the most important in the Alien franchise. Yet they don't have a definitive answer. In one scenario, they were created by David. In another, they were game for the predators to hunt. Some claim they were the engineer's ultimate weapon, designed to wipe out humanity. The only certainty is that where there is chaos in the universe, chances are the Xenos are there. When humans saw a scorpion in the middle of the desert, they sought to use it. Long before humanity went to space and discovered a xenomorph, our ancestors fought to survive, using deadly creatures like scorpions to kill each other. Scorpions are as deadly as they are scary looking. The scorpion, once a creature capable of killing the strongest Homo erectus, is trapped in a glass container, serving as a tool for an important lesson. But what is that lesson?
What are you gonna do with it?
What do you think we should do with it?
Squash it so it doesn't sting you.
What if, while I'm squashing it, another scorpion stings me? To protect its friend, the same way you're trying to protect me.
It scares me.
The purpose of this conversation is that Kirsch wants to find out if Marcy would be willing to spare creatures like the scorpion, if she lets fear drive her to want to kill it, or if instead she would be capable of feeling empathy towards it.
Think of how the scorpion must feel, trapped under glass, menaced by giants.
Are you gonna kill it?
Do you want me to?
No.
The final part of this scene reveals two important things. The first is the purpose of Kirsch's questions, which, as I mentioned, they were to find out if Marcy would empathize with the scorpion or be willing to kill it. The second point leads to something much more profound. Why did Kirsch want to know if Marcy would kill the scorpion? He was measuring whether he could change the girl's mind according to the narrative he presented. At first, Marcy wanted to kill the insect. Then Kirsch told her a story about the scorpion, one that she could relate to, something that she could understand, and maybe change her mind from wanting to kill it. And she did. The scene shows that Marcy was not only empathetic, but also susceptible to Kirsch's manipulation. And the most interesting thing here is the metaphor. The Xenomorphs could be that scorpion trapped in the crystal, trying to escape while being used by humans. So have humans always been the true villains of Alien? Xenomorphs are the perfect weapon for their incredible adaptability. They were always used by others, from the engineer to the predators to Weyland-Yutani, and they have all met their end thanks to the Xenomorphs. The Xenos' adaptive capabilities and methods of reproducing could be natural evolutionary traits, but it is plausible that they were genetically altered. Now about the eggs. The egg has some interesting defensive mechanisms when it detects danger. In Alien vs. Predator, the alien eggs awaken to protect a sarcophagus. And in Alien Earth, the creature inside an egg, the facehugger, called out in panic when Kirsch cut open the egg. They are like animals. They react on instinct. So why are they the victims? This is a species whose origin is not definitive, but their natural ability to cause chaos is so horrible that they are automatically labeled as the villain. However, the Xenomorph is a parasite that would fit in with many nightmare creatures from the real-world animal kingdom. Just look up some of the creepiest things that insects do, even those some might consider to be harmless or cute. Then imagine them as the size of a human. The Xenomorph's violent reproduction cycle is straight out of Dante's Inferno. But what if the true horror doesn't come from the alien, but from a darker, more horrific entity, not from space, but from the human consciousness? When Weyland-Yutani was founded, they wanted to maximize their profits. Like any other corporation, their mission was to seize as much market capital and control as possible to achieve a better future for humanity. Of course, no one would have predicted that that obsession for market dominance would lead them to the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. When Weyland-Yutani's astronauts found the Xenomorph eggs, they bore witness to the most horrific nightmare any human could have imagined. However, the corporation viewed the creature in the same way the predators and the engineer did. Weyland-Yutani wanted them under their control. In the third episode of Alien Earth, Morrow contacts Yutani, but he gets her granddaughter instead.
Mr. Morrow.
Who is this?
Do you have my specimens?
I need to speak with Yutani. I have codeword clearance.
This is her. Ah, I see. Yes. You used to know my grandmother. It's been 65 years, Mr. Morrow.
What this interaction conveys is that generations change, but goals and narratives stay the same. Weyland-Yutani continues with their desire for power, and the ship, carrying their greatest finds ever, just happened to crash on their biggest rival's lawn. Now Prodigy are experimenting with Weyland-Yutani's pets using human organs. The creatures born from those experiments and Boy Cavalier's hubris will find a way to break free. What happens next is anybody's guess. Will the creature destroy everything Boy Cavalier built? Or does he have the means to control them already in his possession?
Wendy, can you tell me what happened?
I woke up and I heard it. It was screaming.
What would happen if the scorpion that was trapped inside a glass jar could communicate with someone on the outside? Wendy can hear these creatures trying to talk to her, and this could be the first step in understanding that they are not the villains, but the victims. The Xenomorphs have always been pawns used for control, first by the engineer, then the predators, then Weyland-Yutani, and now Prodigy. And time after time, those who sought to control and use them eventually perish or turned into hosts for new Xenomorph babies. Number 9. Does the Tioelis want to return to its planet? None of the films nor Alien Earth has mentioned the Xenos' home planet, but the Maginot had to have gotten the eggs from somewhere. Did they get them from Xenomorph Prime? Not only that, but the eggs weren't the only creatures the Maginot was bringing back to Earth. It was transporting 4 other species, including the eyeball, and they all could have been from the same planet as the Xenos. A planet where many species have evolved with the Xenomorphs, forming an ecosystem so hostile that each creature developed natural defense mechanisms to survive. That would explain how the eyeball can replicate the Xenos' language. The Xenomorph's origin is still a mystery. but the eyeball could finally be the key to discovering where the alien actually comes from. Number 8. Is the Tioelis the Xenomorph's oldest natural predator? Going back to the Maginote's biological description of the creature, specifically this section which reads, and I quote, "The tentacles carry extraordinary strength and are built to climb into and dislodge the eyes of the other living organisms. Once replaced in the eye socket, Ocellus takes over the ocular pathways to the brain, overriding the neurotransmissions throughout the body. Though Ocellus has shown remarkable problem-solving skills at a near-human measure." End quote. We're dealing with an interplanetary parasite capable of stealing other creatures' bodies by removing one of their eyes and inserting itself into the socket, allowing it to blend in or hide in plain sight and approach other potential hosts without arousing suspicion. Like that isn't disturbing enough. For some reason, this question popped into my head. How does it reproduce? Being a parasite that replaces its host's real eye and camouflages as the eye, everything points to it exploiting the host's resources to reproduce, similar to the facehuggers, only not as discreet. The facehugger attaches to the victim's face or head and impregnates them with the xenomorph embryo, thus continuing the miracle of life of the xenos. One big difference between the two parasites is that the facehugger eventually dies and falls off the victim. The Tioelis lives and stays attached to its host until it chooses to move to another unsuspecting victim. This theoretically would allow it to protect and develop its offspring without immediate detection while continuing to use its host's body. The grotesque process of the creature replacing the eye of its victim could have a creepy philosophical subtext. When this parasite replaces the victim's vision, it distorts their reality while simultaneously taking control of their will. It's a parasite that makes its host see what it wants and think what it wants. So what would happen if the Tioelis took control of a xenomorph? Xenos don't have eye sockets, nor eyes for that matter. The Tioelis attacked the xenomorph, possibly trying to turn it into its new host, which we've already theorized would happen. You're welcome. This scene opens up the possibility that we will see this takoyaki from space facing off against even larger and more lethal aliens. Now, what is this thing's purpose? Its natural instinct or goal? What if the Tioelis wasn't trying to possess the xenomorph, but was instead defending the humans? What if this misunderstood parasite is the unexpected hero of the show? There are a few times during episode 5 that the eyeball was trying to get the attention of Shibuzo while she was busy, as if it were trying to warn her about the dangerous blood-sucking parasite.
Take a picture. It'll last longer.
But why would the creature warn Shibuzo that the bloodsucker escaped? Later in the episode, the Tioelis breaks free and ends up possessing Shamel, the engineer, by the end of the episode. Yet when Zoya, the ship's executive officer, stumbles across the Tioelis while she is running from the xenomorph, it smiles at her. Creepy as the smile looks, perhaps it wasn't meant to be threatening. Quite the opposite. Maybe the creature was giving Zoya a sign that it wasn't going to harm her. Remember, the creature is described as being nearly as intelligent as humans.
This creature is highly intelligent.
The Tioelis didn't attack Zoya. What it did was momentarily neutralize her to get her out of the way. Shortly after, when Morrow appears, the Tioelis changes its target, calling out the xenomorph. For a moment it seemed that Squidward was alerting the Xeno to come and kill the humans, but then it attacked the xenomorph. It lured the xenomorph into a trap. Now, was it because of instinct? Natural predators fighting each other? Or was the Tioelis trying to stop the xenomorph and defend the humans? The latter does sound a bit contradictory, considering that the creature killed Shmel and took over his body. Was the xenomorph so dangerous that the Tioelis had to stop it? Or was their fight inevitable due to a rivalry that goes back centuries? If the Ocellus is as intelligent as humans, then it must come from a civilization as advanced as ours. The little eyeball of nightmares may have already faced the great filter of this universe, the Xenomorphs, before. We still can't categorize the Ocellus as an evil monster. It has already proven to be intelligent and to have enmity toward the Xenomorphs. Crazy as it might sound, I think the creature could become an ally to the humans in the fight against the Xenos. The Xenomorphs' list of enemies is quite diverse. They have fought humans, predators, the engineers, and heck, even superheroes if you read the comics. This new species of space calamari could be just another name on that list of enemies seeking to wipe out the Xenomorphs, and they could join forces with the humans. As the old saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Now the big question is, why were these 5 species gathered on the ship? As we've said in nearly every video, none of this feels like a coincidence. Everything points to the creatures being part of a galactic war that could also involve the predators and the engineers. And now humanity may be caught in the middle of it. Number 7. Is Kersh the true villain of the story? Kersh the android and possible villain of Alien Earth was created by Prodigy Corporation, the company founded by Boy Cavalier, the boy genius who revolutionized synthetic technology and human consciousness transference. In the Alien universe, synthetics are divided into 3 categories. Humans with synthetic alterations, called cyborgs. These are humans, like Morrow, who want to transcend their biology through mechanical modifications or enhancements. Then there are the androids, AI-powered robots that assist humans. Over time, these machines have evolved to become virtually indistinguishable from humans. And the third category is the one introduced in Alien Earth, synthetics with human minds. They are a new type of hybrid, surpassing cyborgs, humanity's first true evolutionary leap, as Boy Cavalier said. Kersh is a 100% artificial intelligence android who follows the orders of his creator, Boy Cavalier. He's a personal assistant. But if Kersh is simply an assistant, why do we get the impression that he is up to something?
We've had this discussion. She's not human anymore. Why are we pretending she is?
Does Kersh have ulterior motives? Or are we seeing the same story with David repeating itself?
No one understands the lonely perfection of my dreams. I've found perfection here. I've created it. A perfect organism.
Peter Weyland created David to be the perfect helper, to help him find the answer to humanity's oldest question: what is the purpose of life?
I have spent my entire lifetime contemplating the questions. Where do we come from? What is our purpose?
But in his hubris, the man dragged David to the stars, where he exposed the machine to the horrors of the Xenomorphs and the engineers. There, the android began to understand that humanity was willing to do whatever it took to become the dominant species in the universe. David saw how morally flawed humans were and began to change.
Take a look. Something to see.
What drove David to go against his programming and betray his creators? What made him switch sides with a species of cosmic parasites? And how does all of this connect to Kirsch? David, unlike the other models, was created to be more human-like. He could interpret emotions and was more advanced and free, and was even capable of deep philosophical conversation. Androids follow clear rules. However, David crossed lines that Weyland-Yutani's previous models had never crossed. And what if he wasn't the first? If one thing is clear, is that Boy Cavalier is on a quest to create an artificial superintelligence superior to any synthetic. In the words of the young trillionaire, his goal is to have a real conversation. That's why he created Kirsch.
Wendy?
Yeah, Kersh, we're here. We found him.
I don't care about that. I need you to get to the front section of the ship. There's cargo I need you to secure. Smia's already en route.
Can it wait?
Can it? No, it can't wait. These are invasive species. We don't lock them down, they could escape.
Kirsch seems to be growing tired of his creator's arrogance and is doing things behind Boy Cavalier's back.
Used to be food, you know.
Me.
Humanity. Your lives were short and filled with fear. Then your brains grew. You built tools and used them to conquer nature. You built impossible machines and went to space. You stopped being food. Or, I should say, you told yourself you weren't food anymore. But in the animal kingdom, there is always someone bigger or smaller who would eat you alive if they had the chance. That's what it is to be an animal. You're born, you live, you die.
So what is Alien Earth really about? Although Boy Cavalier was introduced as one of the smartest people in the world, his arrogant and childish demeanor makes him extremely emotional and manipulable. He's far from being a true threat in this series. But like other synthetics in the Alien franchise, such as Ash or Bishop, Kersh's priorities could take precedence over human interests, and he could end up betraying his creators. There will come a time when the alignment of artificial intelligence with human interests is disrupted.
No one understands the lonely perfection of my dreams. I found perfection here, I've created it. A perfect organism.
In David's case, Peter Weyland thought he would find the answers to the purpose of life in the stars, thanks to the engineers. But David became the true engineer, the creator. He became more than Weyland ever imagined, more than the engineers. He transformed into a synthetic deity who sought to create the Xenomorphs, sacrificing his creators in the process. And this could happen again on Earth with Kersh.
From the eggs came these parasites.
Just like what happened to David, Kersh has been underestimated by his creator, despite being created with more freedom than other androids. While Boy Cavalier looks to Wendy or the aliens for a more advanced mind to converse with, he ignores Kersh, just as Peter Weyland ignored David, which will lead to the same outcome. Synthetic androids start to get curious and experiment on facehuggers and humans. The outcome will be the same.
Instead of sneaking out an egg, you're gonna sneak in a person.
What is Kersh's goal? The biggest question of this first season of Alien Earth is, what part of the alien chronology does this series take place in? Some people think that the series takes place in an alternate timeline from the movies, that it has nothing to do with Prometheus or the original Alien saga. If so, Kersh plays the role of the synthetic destined to create the ultimate weapon. He is the new David. Although some of the Alien films tend to be criticized negatively, as was the case with Prometheus, David's story was interesting, sort of, as it expanded the origin of the creation of these Xenomorphs, for better or worse. David's story is set to repeat itself with a new character. Kersh would be the archetypal replacement for David, the artificial god created to seek perfection through alien experiments and betraying human interests. Kersh is molding Wendy and the other Lost Boys. He's learning and experimenting with dangerous aliens, using human organs and sheep. We're seeing an arc that's quite parallel to David's, and it's only a matter of time before Kersh breaks.
What if, while I'm squashing it, another scorpion stings me? To protect its friend, the same way you're trying to protect me.
So if Kersh is destined to become David, how might his story differ from David's? There's a universal constant in Alien, and that is a synthetic must create an experiment on the Xenomorphs. Kersh is key. He's ramping up his experiments and could even enhance Wendy with the Xenomorphs. Obviously, there will come a time when it's revealed how far Kersh is willing to go for his goals. He will reach a point when he begins to ignore his creator's orders. There will come a time when the synthetic escapes the boy genius's control, and when that happens, David's story is repeated.
Take a look. Something to see.
Ow, hey.
So what do you think? Will Kersh betray humanity in an attempt to create the perfect being? Number 6. Do the Xenomorphs fear the Tioelis? The Xenomorphs are labeled as the perfect weapons, designed to exterminate civilizations. So for one to show any fear or reservation when facing an enemy, that goes against its nature. From the time they are inside the egg until they become an adult Xeno, these monsters of the galaxy are designed to wipe out everything in their path. However, not even the perfect cosmic weapon can escape fear. In the classic Alien films, it was revealed that the Xenomorphs fear the element of fire. Although these creatures are quite intelligent, their main goal is to reproduce, finding and capturing hosts for the eggs, and the eggs are very susceptible to fire. All intelligent creatures are born with what is called instinctive fears. The fear of the dark, of insects, or of heights are some of the phobias that we humans inherited from our ancestors. Similarly, the Xenomorphs have instinctively inherited a fear of fire because fire was used to destroy them. But this isn't the only fear that they have displayed. In the comic book Alien Genocide, the Red Queen, leader of the Xenomorphs, controlled numerous drones. But when the Marines destroyed the Red Queen with a big bomb, the swarm's reaction was not to fight, but to flee. In nature, eusocial insects such as bees, ants, or termites depend on their queen not only for reproduction, but as a nexus that connects all the drones. The queen releases pheromones that keep the colony organized. When those signals disappear, the workers enter a state of disorientation, a lack of order that can translate into chaos or dispersal. This is what happened to the Xenomorph drones in the comic after their queen was exterminated. Everything implies that their apparent fear is not emotional in the human sense, but an instinctive response to the disruption of their biological control network. The queen isn't just the one who lays eggs. She is the nucleus that emits the chemical or bioelectric frequencies that hold the swarm together. Upon losing her, the Xenomorphs experience something equivalent to a collapse of the central nervous system, confusion, loss of coordination, and what we interpret as fear. Similarly, fire functions as another primordial enemy. It's not that the Xenomorph interprets fear like we humans do, but rather that their biology has encoded the element as a lethal threat through generations of exposure. Under this logic, we can understand why the Xenomorph was a bit shaken at the sight of the eyeball. Just as a human might instinctively scream at the sight of a bug without understanding that their DNA holds the memory of an ancestor who was afraid of a similar creature, the Xenomorphs fear the Tioelis because they faced them before. This isn't a new fear, it's an inherited reaction. In my previous video, we theorized that the Tioelis is the Xenomorph's oldest natural predator, or an enemy species that has been at war with the Xenos for a very long time. But are the Xenomorphs afraid of Tioelis? Is that what we saw? Fear? In the same way that Wendy managed to tap into the Xenomorph's communication frequency, the eyeball seems to do the same. It may be interfering with the same communication frequencies the aliens use among each other, but instead of giving them orders or instructions, what it instills is fear. It's manipulating those biological signals meant to connect the colony. Such an ability yields a disturbing result. If the eyeball is capable of speaking the same language as the Xenomorphs, then it can intimidate them, disorient them, or even turn them against themselves. Now then, are the eyeballs and the Xenos from the same planet? Could we see Xenomorph Prime in alien Earth? If you don't know what Xenomorph Prime is, it is one of the biggest mysteries in Alien, the apparent home planet of the Xenos. However, the origin of the aliens is still inconsistent. One story says that it was David who created them. Others say it was the Predators. But in certain comics, Xenomorph Prime is mentioned as their planet of origin. None of the films nor Alien Earth has mentioned the Xenos' home planet, but the Maginot had to have gotten the eggs from somewhere. Did they get them from Xenomorph Prime? Not only that, but the eggs weren't the only creatures the Maginot was bringing back to Earth. It was transporting 4 other species, including the eyeball, and they all could have been from the same planet as the Xenos. A planet where many species have evolved with the Xenomorphs, forming an ecosystem so hostile that each creature developed natural defense mechanisms to survive. That would explain how the eyeball can replicate the Xenos' language. The Xenomorph's origin is still a mystery, but the eyeball could finally be the key to discovering where the alien actually comes from. So what do you think? Was the Xenomorph afraid of the Tioelis? Or are we wrong? What if the Xenomorph isn't the most dangerous alien in the universe, but merely a level below the true king of the galactic food chain, the eyeball? Number 5. Will we see Xenomorph Prime? The home planet of the Xenomorphs is as mysterious as the creatures themselves. Many fans believe that the creatures have no home, as some of the films showed that the Xenomorphs were the result of experiments. So what is the truth then? Are the Xenomorphs artificial creatures? Or do they have a home? Well, according to legend, there is a mountainous planet entirely inhabited by Xenomorphs and ruled by one or many queens. It is said to be a world that the predators used as one of their hunting grounds, and it is the most dangerous planet in the entire universe. One clue that shows that this planet exists is some concept art from the 2007 film Alien vs. Predator. Although it never made it on screen, the behind-the-scenes feature referred to this location as Xenomorph Prime, and the art is a planet covered in ovomorphs, xenomorph eggs. In 2014, NECA Toys released a line of Predator figures, with one with a biography that mentioned how the Predator was stranded on Xenomorph Prime, and I quote, "Stranded for years on Xenomorph Prime, his tribe was killed in a reckless Xeno hunt gone awry, left with nothing but a broken ship and limited supplies. This Predator has proven to be very resourceful, creating new weapons from the wreckage of his vessel. He lives in isolation, an outcast amongst the enemy, often becoming the hunted himself. He once longed for rescue from this desolate planet, but has since realized that it is the greatest challenge a true warrior could ever hope for." End quote. The official Predator Facebook account posted a star map back in 2018 that shows several planets used by the Yautja for hunting, including Xenomorph Prime. The image also shows other planets, such as LV-223 from Prometheus, Yautja Prime, the home planet of the Predators, and Xenomorph Prime, among others. Since this picture was published by the official Predator account before the premiere of the film Prey, many began to speculate that it was evidence that everything that happens in Alien and Predator is part of a shared universe, possibly validating other stories as canon, such as the comics. The Aliens Outbreak comic, published in 1988 and perceived as an alternate story to James Cameron's Aliens, shows the Xenomorphs' home planet and an invasion of Earth. In Aliens Genocide, Xenomorph Prime was attacked with nuclear weapons by humans in an attempt to destroy the alien queen. If there's one constant in the alien and alien-adjacent properties, is that the predators, humans, and other species have visited Xenomorph's home planet to capture specimens for study and use. And each time, it ended in disaster for the curious party that dared to use them. Could this be the fate of Alien Earth? One of the biggest questions from the first season of Alien Earth is, where did the Maginot find the 5 alien species? Some fans say that the creatures were salvaged from another derelict ship, gift-wrapped and waiting for Weyland-Yutani's men to find them. But what if they actually went to Xenomorph Prime? If Alien Earth were to share a similar story with the comics, we could see how Weyland-Yutani's men traveled to Xenomorph Prime to catch these creatures. It would make sense that the corporation knew where to find them, and would explain why in the first Alien film they prioritized the creature's transportation over the Nostromo's crew's survival. But is this evidence that Weyland-Yutani has already traveled to this planet? If those 5 creatures come from Xenomorph Prime, this could open up the possibility of a story focusing on when the creatures were captured, or when the corporation sent its people to the planet, showing the dangerous lengths they're willing to go to catch aliens. So will we ever see Xenomorph Prime? Wendy is communicating and bonding with the Xenomorphs, and as we've mentioned in previous videos, these creatures need a queen. In the comics, the Red Queen's habitat was destroyed with nuclear weapons because she could control the Xenomorph horde remotely, turning them into an unstoppable army. What if something similar were to happen in Alien Earth? A queen from the Xenomorph planet could be communicating with Wendy through the captured Xenomorph. If so, then the only way to stop a potential invasion of Earth is to take the fight to the alien homeworld to attack the source of control, travel to Xenomorph Prime, and destroy its queen, just like in the comics. Furthermore, if Weyland-Yutani is continuously taking trips to Xenomorph Prime, it will only be a matter of time before one of those excursions encounters the Yautja. The film Predator Badlands has a predator fighting alongside a Weyland-Yutani synthetic, which proves that Weyland-Yutani continues to have connections with both the Xenos and the Yautja. If we don't see Xenomorph Prime in Alien Earth, we might still have a chance to see it in the upcoming Predator movie. When the Xenos infest a planet, like locusts, nothing is left standing. What we know as Xenomorph Prime could have been another victim of the Xenomorph plague, but the Xenomorphs aren't weapons. They are creatures that were born or created, removed and used as weapons by other species, thus becoming the great filter of the universe. So what do you think? Did you know about Xenomorph Prime? Number 4. Weyland-Yutani will use nukes. To understand why Weyland-Yutani would use a world-ending type of weapon, it is important to comprehend the threat level that a xenomorph infestation poses to the world. If one queen were to establish a hive, the expansion process would be rapid. A single queen can lay hundreds of eggs in a short time. Each egg has one facehugger ready to implant an embryo into a nearby host. Within hours, those embryos transform into chestbursters, which in turn reach maturity in just a matter of hours. This means that in less than a week, there is an army of Xenos roaming around looking for more hosts. Now imagine an entire city turned into an incubation ground. First, small isolated sectors will fall, then residential areas, then cities, and soon military defenses will be overwhelmed. In a matter of weeks, the entire planet would be in danger of all-out infestation. What makes the aliens dangerous is their fast and aggressive and invasive reproductive cycle. No other known species in this universe can replicate with such brutal efficiency. Therefore, once a xenomorph is released on the planet, the threat level is at max. There is no debating. Action must be taken immediately, or the world is lost. Xenomorphs are not indestructible, but for every one that is killed, dozens more are born. It's because of the level of danger that these creatures pose that humans and other advanced alien species have used weapons of mass destruction against them. In Aliens, a massive explosion destroyed the alien hive. In Alien vs. Predator Requiem, the government dropped a nuclear bomb on the town that was being overrun by Xenos. In the books, Aliens Earth Hive and Aliens The Female War, nuclear bombs were used to destroy the xenomorphs on Earth. In the comics that we've mentioned in other videos, such as Aliens Genocide, the xenomorph's Red Queen was destroyed with nuclear warheads. So when it comes to stopping a xenomorph horde for all sentient species, the contingency plan is the same. A big explosion is the only way to stop the invasion. Sadly, it's sometimes better to sacrifice a city than it is to risk the entire world. Now you understand that the moment the Maginot crash landed on Prodigy City, the city became a target of a nuclear attack.
You have something that belongs to me.
To be fair, it fell from the sky and broke one of my buildings.
Boy Cavalier, the boy genius and trillionaire, proved that one person with good ideas can bring a megacorporation that has bullied the world since its inception to its knees. But Weyland-Yutani is no pushover, and they are not happy that the young trillionaire has stolen their property. It's only a matter of time before Prodigy pays a hefty price for taking what isn't theirs. Number 3. Will the Predators make an appearance? We are not sure how or if the aliens and Predators will cross paths in the show. However, in the trailer for the new Predator film, Predator Badlands, we can see the Weyland-Yutani logo in some of the shots. Weyland-Yutani connects the two universes once again. So it may be only a matter of time before we see these two iconic alien races clash once again. Will Prodigy's experiments on the Xenomorphs trigger the return of the predators to Earth? The Yautja hunters have used Earth as a hunting ground for centuries. They have used humans as sacrifice, built pyramids, and hunted many species to test and prove their might as the galaxy's greatest hunters. But they aren't conquerors. They have no interest in taking over Earth. They see humans as inferior. They don't even consider the Xenomorphs as living beings, but rather as prey to be used for their initiation ritual. When a young Yautja reaches a certain age, they must face the perfect weapon, a Xenomorph inside a pyramid. That's what the ancient rituals were like in Alien vs. Predator. Over time, the tradition has been diluted, but it's clear that both the Xenomorphs and humans are still being watched and used by the Yautja. The Predators also have methods to keep the Xenomorph's infection at bay in case of emergencies. For example, when a Predator loses, they activate a bomb that destroys everything within a wide radius, including themselves.
But if the hunters lost, they made sure nothing survived.
Centuries later, humans have shifted the balance of power. Like the Xenos, humans were also simply prey to the Predators. But humans have evolved from prey to predator. From Boy Cavalier's perspective, the study of Xenomorphs may greatly advance his quest for immortality. But the Xenos are valuable commodities for the Predators. They can't allow humanity to control them. That leaves us with an unsettling question. What if the Yautja send hunters to destroy the Xenomorphs, and they end up wrecking Prodigy City and Neverland Island? Alien Earth brought with it a new mystery. How Prodigy went from being one of the most powerful corporations on Earth to never being mentioned in any other Alien or Predator story. They couldn't have just vanished. I made a video proposing that Weyland-Yutani, through dirty corporate maneuvers, could have acquired and absorbed Prodigy and erasing it from existence. But maybe Boy Cavalier should not be worried about a corporate takeover, but rather being taken over by another hostile alien race of hunters who don't like it when someone messes with their prey. According to the lore, the Predators come from Yautja Prime, a hostile world that forged an entire culture around hunting and controlling hundreds, perhaps thousands of planets in the universe. The last time the Yautja made a trip to Earth was 2018. At that time, humans were still just prey or test objects to the Predators. A century later, in 2120 Alien Earth, synthetics and cyborgs exist, and humans are experimenting with dangerous alien creatures, the Xenomorphs, and that may raise a red flag for the Predators. The Xenos are the deadliest creatures around. Killing one is considered an honor for the Predators. If the humans were to ever control and use the Xenomorphs, that would place them over the Predators. The prey becomes the predator. If anything can set off the panic button on Yautja Prime, it would be this: humans getting closer to learning and controlling the Xenos. And so the Predators may have to take a trip down to Earth to pay Boy Cavalier a visit. Could Prodigy's curiosity trigger a war against the alien hunters from space? Clip Predator hunting humans? If the Yautja come to see humans as a threat, this could become an alien versus predator versus human showdown. The ultimate battle between the three deadliest species in the universe. The Predators attack Earth, the humans attacking the Predator home planet, sending ships filled with Xenomorph eggs and full-grown Xenos. An all-out biological warfare with aliens. That sounds more fun than any of the Alien vs. Predator movies, to be honest. Humanity's time is coming to become the true predator.
Used to be food, you know.
Me.
Humanity. Your lives were short and filled with fear. Then your brains grew. You built tools and used them to conquer nature. You stopped being food. Or, I should say, you told yourself you weren't food anymore. But in the animal kingdom, there is always someone bigger or smaller who would eat you alive if they had the chance. That's what it is to be an animal.
Although we haven't yet seen the Predators in the new Disney Alien canon, we know that Weyland-Yutani is still part of the Predator universe, thanks to the Predator Badlands trailer. So it might not be too long before we see the Yautja face off the Xenos again in a new and hopefully good Alien vs. Predator movie? Number 2. Will Tioelis infect a predator? Amidst the battle between megacorporations and alien creatures, a new opponent has arrived, the one-eyed Ursula from space, who is an unprecedented danger to the universe. One of the most intriguing questions left by this encounter between the Tioelis and the Xenomorph was how the eyeball was able to call in the same frequency or language of the Xenomorph. It wasn't a simple roar or instinctive sound, but rather a call, a communication, something that, for the moment, only an advanced synthetic hybrid can duplicate. But what makes the Tioelis special is that it didn't have to learn the frequency. It spoke it instinctively, as if it already knew the language. The call was direct. It was a challenge, like if someone calls your name and challenges you to a fight. Does this reveal that Tioelis and the Xenomorphs share a common origin? Maybe the 8-legged freak can simply intercept and dominate the Xenomorph's communication frequencies. In either case, the message is clear. This is not a random encounter. These are enemy species who have fought before. But how was the Tioelis able to speak the Xenomorph language? It's been mentioned on several occasions that this creature is as intelligent as humans, and the creature does seem to have a level of self-awareness and possibly has an agenda or vendetta. If the eyeball is as intelligent as us, it could come from a civilization of a close or equal level as ours, maybe even superior to ours. If so, this civilization would pose a threat to the predators. The predators are an ancient alien race of hunters that have traveled to Earth for millennia as part of their hunting rituals. They build arenas or pyramids to test their skills against the galaxy's ultimate weapon, the Xenomorphs. The Earth became a veritable training ground for the Yautja civilization. The fight between predators and Xenomorphs is basically like watching a human squash a giant cockroach. Yes, the Xenomorphs are terrifying. Even in small numbers, the aliens can get lucky kills on the Yautja warrior or hunter, but for the most part, they haven't posed much of a threat to the predators or their home planet. But another species may have a better chance of confronting the predators. What if the Yautja were to be at war with a Tioelis species? The danger level is obviously high for the predators because they have eyes, 2 of them in fact, thus making it easy for the eyeballs to take over their bodies. Imagine an army of those things. Zombified predators roaming the galaxy. If you didn't know, the Tioelis can amplify the strength and agility of its host. Predators are stronger than humans and Xenos by nature, so a legion of possessed Yautja that are stronger, faster, and feel no pain would be a nightmare come to life. And number 1, Wendy will bring the end of the world. All the while Weyland-Yutani forces are about to invade the island, the season ends leaving far too many questions, the biggest one being,
I don't know what I am.
Wendy's functions or abilities have far superseded any other synthetic. She can control any machine, including other synthetics.
No!
But how does Wendy have these abilities? How can she control both aliens and machines? One of our earliest videos talking about Alien Earth was about who or what Wendy is. What she is could be found in a comic book. Let's recap. Lucas was right to be afraid. We should be afraid. I've seen what's out there. And by now, you have too. We both know that the facehuggers don't just lay eggs. When they're attached, we become part of them. While I was unconscious, I could see the aliens, and not just the ones that killed my team. I saw the ones that made them too. God knows how far from here. and others that didn't exist yet. I saw how far their reach goes, how small we are compared to them. I saw a tidal wave of living nightmares exploding out of my chest, blanketing the universe. And I saw one that wasn't like the others. I don't know if it was real, but I know it meant something. Now it's at the end of the comic where a synthetic named Iris reveals to Cruz part of the truth of what this goddess and the Xenomorphs are and their purpose in the universe. Continuing the read-along, there's something I want to say to you, Cruz, about the woman in the dark. How do you know about? We know a lot that you don't. You still don't understand what she is, do you? Humans aren't the first organics to leave your solar system, Cruz. There have been so many others in this galaxy alone, and they're all gone now. Do you know why? When organic species grow arrogant enough to travel the stars, they find it waiting. Prometheus's cleansing fire. The fire keeps the universe clean of parasites like you. It's always the same after that. First, you try to harness the fire as a weapon, all like the ones before you have done. Next, you'll try to join with it. Use it to make yourselves better, stronger. That's what the Hive showed you in the dark, Cruz. She's your own future, the inevitable end result of the deadly little thing you brought back inside you. The thing we'll eventually use to kill you all. Always remember that it was you, Cruz, okay? Of all goddamn humanity's countless billions, you found Prometheus's fire, and you carried it home. Remember that when your world burns down. All of this means that the true purpose of the Xenomorphs has always been to serve as the Great Filter for advanced civilizations. What is the Great Filter? I'm glad you asked. The Great Filter is a hypothesis that comes as a response to the well-known Fermi paradox, which tries to explain why we still have no extraterrestrial contact. This hypothesis states that every intelligent civilization in the galaxy reaches a point in its technological development where something stops it. The Great Filter could be why we appear to be alone in the universe, because there is something responsible for keeping all civilizations in check when they reach a certain level of evolution. Some say this filter could be an inevitable catastrophe, like a meteor striking the planet, a supernova, or cosmic radiation. Others believe it is the tendency of every advanced species to self-destruct, ended by something that they created. Let's say something like a nuclear weapon or an out-of-control artificial intelligence. And some speak of universal biological agents, predators that function as the inevitable trap for those who believe they have conquered the stars. This is where the connection with alien Earth comes in. If there's a perfect weapon designed to deter species in the universe, it's the Xenomorphs. Xenomorphs are the Great Filter. When a species reaches the stars, they will inevitably encounter them, and blinded by their ambition, will attempt to capture and experiment on the Xenos. It's the perfect trap. This is what the goddess of the Xenomorphs desire, for every emerging civilization to fall into the trap and use them for reproduction. By doing so, she will cause the inferior species to become extinct, while increasing the power of the Xenos in the universe, creating genetic variations of her children. In the comics, it's not entirely clear whether this goddess is real or a symbolic manifestation of the inevitable fate of all civilizations that dare to confront the Xenomorphs. But if the goddess is real, is she somehow connected to Wendy? In episode 3 of Alien Earth, Wendy was somehow able to hear the Xenomorph communicating with her. In episode 4, she tapped into the Xenos frequency and then reproduced its speech, which amazed Boy Cavalier.
Sure, you speak French, but can you do that?
The fact that episode 4 ended with Wendy touching a Xenomorph makes it clear that these creatures will respond to the synthetic, just like the goddess from the comics. Alien Earth may have drawn inspiration from the comics. If so, then maybe we'll get an answer to what the one in the dark is. One of the most mysterious things about the goddess of the Xenomorphs is that she is always described as a biosynthetic entity. Although the Xenomorphs are galactic parasites, their deity has female-human proportions, oddly as if humans and synthetics have always been linked to these creatures. But how would the comic connect to Alien Earth and Wendy? If the Xenomorphs are the great filter of civilizations, and there is a creepy, yet oddly hot Xenomorph goddess, she could be manipulating Wendy thanks to her ability to tap into the frequencies of the Xenomorphs. Perhaps Wendy is coming into contact with this ancient entity, but to what end?
At the very least, my hope is that by giving Wendy a supercomputer for a brain and training by the best geniuses money can buy, I'll finally be able to have an interesting fucking conversation.
Let's say that Wendy is destined to become the goddess of the Xenomorphs on Earth. She would destroy human civilization and bring the Great Filter to Earth. Wendy could become the new mother of these creatures and the harbinger of the end of humanity. That would solidify the theory that this show takes place in an alternate timeline from the movies. A new timeline where humanity's extinction could be arriving sooner than we think, brought by the manifestation of the One in the Dark, the goddess of the aliens who once thought she was human. When is a machine not a machine? When it changes into something else, something scarier. So what do you think? Will Wendy destroy the world in Alien Earth Season 2? Did you like the Season 1 finale? Or were you disappointed? I'm a Gloomy Geek, and don't forget to like and subscribe.